Hey, everybody! Welcome to Nerds with Alcohol. I'm Chris, and Russ isn't here tonight, obviously. But we are joined by a couple of special guests for this, our 202nd episode. We have my lovely wife, Renee,
Hello.
and my brother in law, Pete,
Hey, how's it going today?
both of whom have been on the show before. Welcome back, guys.
Hmm?
Thank
Most
you.
recently, you were on the Tavern Nights episode.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, again, getting more people from from Tavern Nights to come on the show. Had Ed on to fill in for Russ a couple weeks ago. So,
Yeah,
hey,
that's really
CD,
good.
how's it going? But yeah, so welcome back to the show. Hope everybody can hear everyone okay. I can hear things okay, but sometimes not knowing how things are coming through. We can turn that up a little bit so that make sure that they can hear you okay. Like I said, welcome back. Lot of stuff's been going on this week. A lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Holy
bit.
shit, a lot of stuff.
A lot.
Yeah. So, how's your week been? We'll start with Renee. How was your week?
Busy. Very, very busy. As you know, I worked 55 hours last week,
Yeah.
and I am already almost at 20 hours, something like that this week. It's been a long week already. So, it's harvest season. It is what it is. This is our busy time at the meadery. Just got a truck that's got 5,500 gallons of cider in a couple days ago. And we sadly lost one of our I lost my main maker at the meadery. He's moved on to bigger and better things. He actually left the industry altogether. So I'm currently training up new people as well as doing all of my job and all of Tony's job. But I wish Tony the best. But yeah, it's been a long week. We tomorrow be going into work early because we are actually going to be putting our first product in cans tomorrow.
Your
Woohoo!
first
So-
canned product.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
I have no idea if it's going to hit Michigan market. I do know it's going to go to like our southern states. We're putting Kill All the Golfers in cans,
Hmm.
and with the intention of for Kill All the Golfers to be out at golf courses.
Yep.
Mhm.
So we're actually doing our first mobile canning run tomorrow morning, starting at 7 a.m.
Do you
Wow.
have that? Do you
Yeah.
have that manufacturing equipment at your facility, or are you like
No.
renting?
We're
or
actually renting
working-
it out. We're using there's a bunch of different companies that you can use to essentially like rent a canning unit. They come in, they bring their own equipment, they physically can everything for you. Excuse me. You help pack off, and that's about it. And yeah, we're going through a company called Ironheart. I believe it's Ironheart. There's like Michigan Mobile Canning, and there's like a half a dozen other companies that allow you to rent the equipment. So that's what we're doing for this round, with the intentions of purchasing a canner eventually. We've been talking about it for 2 years now, so no idea if that's when and if that's going to happen. But
Mhm.
we are actually putting golfers in cans tomorrow, so
That's
that's very
awesome.
exciting. Very, very exciting.
Cool.
And this year's golfers, I have to admit, I am very proud of it.
Cool.
So
So how about you, Pete? How was your week?
It's been last week. I was able to take a couple days off. It was I get the day off for election day as a day off from work, which is nice.
I think
A lot
everyone
of
should do
people-
that. I think that should be a
I
national
totally
holiday.
agree. It should be a holiday. I totally 100% agree with that. GM,
Agreed.
thankfully, every single major election does give that off as a holiday across the board. And I took like Monday and Wednesday off. My oldest son turned 11 on Wednesday, so we had the day off of
Yeah,
school,
so-
and I took the day off of work as well.
So I want to talk to you about that because we had his
Yeah.
party a month early to get better
colder
weather,
that
and
day.
it was cold as
I
fuck
know.
that day, and it was beautiful on his birthday.
I'm well aware of that. We were trying to do something to have good social gathering outside while the weather was still nice. Didn't anticipate better weather in November.
Hashtag pure Michigan.
Pure Michigan.
Yeah, you didn't expect the 80-degree weather on a Saturday in November.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, I was up just this past weekend putting up the Christmas lights, and which I do this time every year, but first time I was doing it in shorts and a t-shirt.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, a lot of people in our neighborhood were doing that.
Yeah.
And then we had gaming on Friday, which again, always a blast. I give mad props to you, Chris, for organizing it and giving us such a wonderful time.
Yeah, sorry for nodding off in the last 15 minutes, but I was so tired.
You had a long day and night before that, but it's still something that look forward to every single.
I was good until 11:45, but the minute 11:45 hit, I'm just nodding off in the background.
Oh, it's all good.
Yeah, I'm glad that you guys are really enjoying that. I'm having fun. I gotta get back and I gotta do some more writing, because you guys are actually getting to the point where I've got the ideas, but I haven't actually written them down yet, and not in an organized form to where I know what's happening in each of the rooms in the next section. So I gotta get that done.
All right.
So I got a week and a half.
And I felt that maybe we'll talk about it more later on the show, but I felt like we're just plowing right through it this time. We weren't. I felt like before we were a little bit unsure of ourselves entering this place, but now that we've gotten a little bit more of the feel for this dungeon that we're down in, I think that we know what to expect and we know how to approach the next opportunity of.
You think you do?
That's how it's around.
At least I didn't use all of my key points twice this time. Unlike the session before that.
Well, you guys didn't have as much fighting this time.
No.
It was like small little one-off fights, I felt like. But it was like a really good balance, I felt like. But, it's something I look forward to every single, as soon as we're done, I'm already thinking about 2 weeks in the future on how to approach the next leg of our journey. So, and other than that, just work and trying to got all the Halloween stuff down, putting all the Christmas stuff up, trying to do it while the weather is still good before it starts dipping down in the next couple days. Because I don't want to be going up there when it's still when it starts getting a little windy or snowy. Yeah,
I actually saw somebody in the city group on Facebook for here post up that they're doing like a National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation homage. They actually have them going all the way around their roof, like back and forth and all that. And they said, and just so you know, it is a dummy. They have someone hanging from the side of the roof. They're like, it's a dummy. Don't call the police on us. It's a dummy.
Yeah, I like the house on Masonic. So on one of the main streets where we live, there's one house that goes all out, has like a giant 9-foot diameter poinsettia that's all lit up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And their next door neighbor has a single string of lights going down to the Grinch.
Yep.
He's pulling them down. Yeah,
and he's pulling them down. And I'm like, I'd be that neighbor.
It's the perfect minimalistic decoration.
Yep.
I'd be the asshole to write ditto with an arrow pointing.
Oh, that's cool. So yeah, not a lot to really kick things off. We're not going to do a lot of stuff like, the back and forth like Russ and I do. We can do some Russ bashing later if we want.
Well, we already talked about the weather. It's gorgeous.
Yes, it is. It is. Today. It actually has been gorgeous here. We're supposed to be getting thunderstorms tonight, and then we're dropping 20 degrees tomorrow. So we're going to drop down to the 50s. So more like normal, which I'm okay with. Although I've really enjoyed being able to sit here in the office and have the windows open and things like that the last few days. But yeah, it's been weird. I'm not used to this nice of weather this time of year.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll talk about Tavern Nights a little bit later on too. But Yeah. But to start things off, what are you guys drinking? We'll start with you, Pete, because Renee.
Okay.
I don't know which one you're going to talk about, Renee.
Well, yeah.
Go ahead, Pete. What are you
She's
drinking?
looking sadly at an empty glass, I think.
No, it's got floaties in it. It's weird.
Oh, all right. Well, I'll let you take care of that while I talk about mine then. So I am drinking Pogalicious IPA from Atwater Brewery.
Okay.
Oh,
You guys ever had a chance to try that out?
I have
I
not.
haven't.
I'm not a big fan of Atwater usually.
It's
so
hit or miss for me, I feel. But
it's
this
where
one is
brewers
actually
go to die. It's what's known as in Southeast Michigan.
But I'm not sure if you can see it
Yeah.
pretty well there. But it is quite tasty. I like it a lot. Pogalicious IPA, malt beverage with natural flavors, passion fruit, orange, and guava. It is 6.5% by volume, 44 IBUs. You really get a lot of that that orange at the beginning and ends with the passion fruit, I feel. It's not, and like it's, mild bitterness, and I think that it blends very well. You can see that it's got like a nice,
Yeah.
it's not clear. It's got a little bit of a cloudy, like amber color to it, but
I like that you're drinking it out of a mason jar. That's
I was
you
going
know
to
what?
comment.
All
I'm
right,
like, you
all
can
right.
afford pint glasses. You know that, right?
All right. When you have two children, 11 and 8 years old, and leading up to that, you can't have nice things. Mason jars.
Valid.
We actually, like, all of our normal glasses broke either from some way or another with clumsy kids, or from
Clumsy
handling
parents.
in the dishwasher, somewhere along the way. But then I started drinking out of mason jars, and these things are sturdy. These things do not break. I drop this on the floor, and it doesn't, like.
I mean, they're tempered glass.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
if it's a true mason jar.
Yeah. So we actually, if you were to look in our glass cabinet, pretty much all of our main glasses are mason jars. That's what we actually use for our standard glass.
Toby Keith's, I love
now,
this. Toby Keith's, I love this bar. That's what they serve their beer in, because that's part of the song. Is we drink our beer from mason jars.
Even One-Eyed Betty's, all their water glasses are mason jars.
Yep.
All of our mason jars are currently filled with sauerkraut.
Yeah, we joke around. We joke around because our one friend that lives over in Roseville, we call that Roseville Crystal.
Yeah.
Actually,
I found some on like wine stems.
Yeah, we actually got him a mason jar on like a candlestick. Somebody had like hot glued a mason jar to the top of a crystal candlestick, and so it looked like a fancy wine glass.
Yeah.
Oh, geez. Yeah. I also have mason jars. For the previous owners of my house, our main little chandelier dropped light by our dining or dinner table has lights in it, but it's mason jars on top, where
cool.
it gives off like a nice glow to it. So,
that's cool.
But yeah, this is a good beer. I like it. Another one that I'm going to open up a little bit later is Dogfish Head's Bliss. What's it actually called? Sea Quench Ale. It's a session sour. Lime juice, lime peel, black limes, and sea salts.
Okay, sounds kind of like a let's say sounds like a goza.
Yum, that should be good.
I have not cracked this open yet, so
should be, but it's Dogfish Head, so.
Hey, they have some decent things. Just their flagship, I don't care for because
actually,
I think it's dumb.
Well, the thing is that like 90-minute or even the 120-minute. I actually had a 120-minute ale that I actually liked.
But it was aged?
It was 2 years old.
Well, yeah, it's a barley wine at that point.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's what you have to do with those, and that's what I've heard is that they are meant to be aged. They're actually you're supposed to age them. I think it's just that people have said they have realized that they taste better after a year or two, so that they've come out and said, "Oh no, you're supposed to age those." When really, according to the Dogfish Head, they're like, "No, you drink that fresh." No, you don't.
Yeah, no. It was kind of like hazy IPAs or New England IPAs. I mean, they built a whole brand out of lazy brewing. That's
they're
how
juicy.
It started. Like, no, they're supposed to be like that, and I mean, brilliant marketing, absolutely brilliant. And I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I like me a good hazy IPA. it's still lazy brewing, but they're delicious. I mean, you market it right, anyone will drink it.
It's because they're fruity.
I mean, you could also just, let your beer appropriately,
Settle.
Yeah, settle.
Clarify.
But that's just me. I have very traditional views when it comes to brewing, so and I understand that. That's just a personal style that I like. But I mean, I like a good M43.
But I would also defer to the expert.
I mean, I do have a very traditional view of beer. I like clear beer. I like clean beer. Not a fan of Belgians. Just not a fan of ester notes. I mean, that's just me. But
so what about you, Renee? What are you drinking?
I am drinking a good old classic Stroh's lager.
Stroh's.
Yeah.
Stroh's classic. By Stroh's.
Yeah. By Stroh's. I mean, they've been around since 1850. They haven't necessarily brewed beer for that entire time, given, prohibition in the 20s, but
yeah, when they started making ice cream.
Yeah. Good ice cream.
Yeah, they do make good ice cream.
Yeah,
because they still do ice cream. Mm-hmm. They actually weren't doing. Stroh's disappeared for quite a while, and then an influx of money from Pabst actually brought them back.
Oh,
really?
Yeah, did not know that.
So
yeah, I mean it's just a good, easy.
Are they a partnership with them then?
Yeah, actually, I believe Pabst actually owns them now.
Okay.
Or at the very least, a majority share for distribution rights.
Yeah. Oh, hey. Sorry to hear that, CD. His power's out. Been out for a while. He's just dealing with hotspot action lag with the storm.
Oh, no.
Yeah, he's getting the storm that's coming through here tonight that they're saying we're going to get overnight. So.
Well, I mean, you can always rewatch on YouTube on Thursdays. But, yeah, I mean, it's a good, easy, clean, easy drinking lager. I prefer, I do like a good, Pabst Blue Ribbon. I prefer.
Just like your hubby.
Yep.
It's a good lager. It's a flavorful lager. And it's usually fairly cheap. But I prefer Stroh's over Pabst. Not as much of that sulfur lager note. The thing that I really like about Stroh's Classic is that it doesn't have that at all. And it's just a good, easy drinking beer.
And I'll tell you what, just to jump back onto the Pabst thing, Pabst I think is doing a good job. Pabst, their Blue Ribbon is good, and then they did the influx of money into Stroh's to bring them back, particularly with the Bohemian Pilsner to start with, and now they're branching out into their classic and things like that. And then they also, we had it at the club, and I didn't realize it. At the curling club, but I didn't realize that it was a Pabst product when I first tried it. But they found an old 1930s recipe or something like that.
Oh wow!
That they thought that hadn't been made for decades, and brought it back, and it's for an amber ale, and they called it Old Tankard, and it was absolutely fantastic. It was an excellent example of the amber style. And it's a little bit hoppy, but still malty. It was absolutely fantastic. I really enjoyed that. And I don't know that they've made it actually in the last couple of years. Because I know when I was actually doing the beer, I was looking for it and I could never find it actually available.
Their hard coffee that they made.
Oh, geez, yeah.
Oh,
holy
man.
Crap. Yes.
Yeah.
It is so good.
Super good. Super sugary, and should not be an alcoholic drink, but it is.
Yeah,
it's delicious.
Yeah, it is an alcohol dessert. I mean,
yeah, it's super.
You can pour that over some ice cream and
real cream in it, or at least I'm fairly confident it was real cream. So if you're lactose intolerant, I advise caution.
Yeah, found that out the hard way, didn't you?
Yeah. Yeah. Sure did. Worth it. Worth it.
All right, so
I also have the same thing that you have. I'm swapping back and forth.
You actually have the Bell's glass.
Oh.
Which, actually, I didn't think about it. I should have actually should have kept the Bell's glass.
Oh, I also have a Bell's hoodie on. Celebrate diversity.
Yes.
Nice.
But yes, so what the other thing that Renee has and what I have is actually a Bell's beer. This is part of it's one of their special series. I don't think this one actually has an actual name, but it is a beautiful ruby color you can see there.
Oh wow, yeah. Yeah.
This is called Lapel du Vide. Uh, and it comes in a big old bottle, like a wine bottle size. And it is a Lapel du Vide Blackberry, which you can see the blackberry there on the
Okay.
on the balloon. It is a wild ale aged in oak foeders with blackberries. I don't know if it's even got the. Oh yeah, there it is. 4.8 percent ABV. The shelf life is 12 months, and it was packaged in January of this year. So it's good that we're drinking it now because it only had a couple of months left on its shelf life. It says fermented entirely in a wooden foeder with a mixed wild culture in addition to our house ale yeast. This version of our Call of the Void series, so that's what it is also aged on blackberries. The end result is a funky sour session ale that offers a bright tartness similar to a goose or young lambic. I think it's supposed to be a goza, but it's spelled differently. Maybe it's just a goose.
Gozas are different.
Okay.
They're I think you're closer with goose or
goose,
I don't speak Flemish.
Gueze, so guez, goose, guez, or young lambic. Well, using an entirely different process. I like this.
The more I drink it, the more I like it.
It does have a good tartness. It's much more of the. I know you said you got some Brett notes out of it. I'm still not getting that. I get much more like lacto mixed in with the wild yeast. So
I do definitely get the lacto tartness. There's a weird middle like funk note that I associate with Brett that like sits on the middle of the tongue mid swallow.
I see what you're saying.
Oh, yeah, and that's where I'm like, it's a little bready. It's not bad though. Like
yeah, it's definitely not overpowering like a lot of the Brett stuff is.
No, not at all. Like this is very delightful and very, very drinkable.
Yeah, I like this, and it like retains just that little bit. I don't know if you can really see it, Brooks Brewing there, but yeah, there you can kind of see the head on the top there. It just keeps this like really small, like no major. You can still see the color through it type of head on the top, and it's got some good glass cling too, actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really like this. I'm gonna probably give this 4.25 bottle caps. This is really good. It's only in these big bottles, I believe, and I would say at this point you can't get it because it's got a 12-month shelf life. We got this about 2 months ago, actually, or a month ago. No, it was 2 months ago because it was when I was doing the golf outing, so it would have been actually even more. It would have been July.
Yeah, we've been sitting on it for a while.
Or no, it was August. So it was late August. Because the golf outing was in September. So it was either early September, late August, somewhere in there. But yeah, so it's been a couple months.
Just curious, after it hits that 12-month life expectancy, what would start happening to it that would adjust the flavor?
Flavors would degrade. So you'd lose the sourness. You'd lose
or change.
Or change. It could change more to a vinegariness. It could become overpoweringly sour to where it's not really drinkable. Sours can go sideways.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sours are definitely ones you don't normally age a sour too long unless it's in like a foeder or a barrel or something like that where it's got those active cultures going.
Okay.
Yeah. And once you even take it out of the foeder, in the bottle, it'll continue to evolve. And depending on what their mixed culture is like in that foeder, like it can be a mostly sour, like it could be mostly lactobacillus strains. It could be a combination of lactobacillus and wild yeast. So, and frankly, Saccharomyces. So it could be like lacto, Brettanomyces, Saccharomyces, and even if there's even pedrococcal cultures in there, if you get like pedrococcal microbes as well, sometimes they get like ropey. which a lot of times they will describe, so that usually the ropiness will happen early on in like a foeder, but it can happen in the bottles as well. So a lot of breweries will actually sit on their bottles for like, once they bottle it, they'll sit on them for like 3 or 4 months to get them through. They call it the sick phase. I know like Russian River out of California, which is an all sour house, all barrel aged. They have a couple of foeders, I believe, but it's mostly barrel aged sour beers. And they'll sit on some of their products because it's just a natural evolution of the microbes. They go through this like little like bottle shock sick phase. Once they're past that, then they sell their product, and it's delicious. They probably give the 12-month expiration just in case, because the way the brewer and the brewer blends that sour, because a lot of times sours are also blends of like aged beer as well as like a younger beer, to get that perfect blend for the flavors that they intend and what they want it to be. They probably give it that 12-month expiration, because past that it wouldn't be what they intended. It's probably still very good, but not what they intended it for it to be, unless they pasteurize it to preserve it, which I don't believe Bell's does. Unlike
it would say it on there.
Yeah, like, usually it does.
Yeah.
I know Fat Tire? I think it's Fat Tire. They actually have a small sour line as well. Pretty sure it's Fat Tire. Not 100% positive, but I'm pretty sure it is. They have a couple sour beers, and they will actually pasteurize right at bottling, so that every bottle that you get of whatever their sour beer is what they intended it to be. So but they actually like infrared like pasteurize their stuff.
Okay.
Whereas most places don't. So after that like 12-month mark, yeah, it won't be the blend and the flavor profile that the brewer or the mixer intended it to be. So
there's a different.
I'm sorry, I get.
My gosh, like
really.
Yeah. There's a whole different level of
beer.
That's a whole different nerd. Beer. That's a nerd with alcohol right there. That is.
Yeah,
right,
sorry.
that is a.
You just lived up to the name.
Sorry.
Nerd about alcohol.
Quite amazing. Like just you going through all like the organic chemistry behind it all. That there's a reason I didn't follow through with it. I'm physics. I'm all physics based. So
I like physics too,
but I respect the hell out of everything that you were saying. The fact that you were able to understand it and apply it to what you do. My goodness.
Oh, thank you. It's really funny. You can usually tell my level of drunkenness by the lack of layman's terms. So the drunker I get, the more scientific I get. So I forget to actually put things into layman's terms. It's really fun at RJBC parties. Yeah. It ends up turning into a goal for a few of our RJBC members.
So those of you that don't know, RJBC.
Oh, sorry, RJBC is our bottle club at Beat Nectar.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like something like $200 to join a year, and we only have 50 members. We actually keep it at a limited number of bottles, but they actually get specific bottles made for them 4 times a year.
So CD just called you a nerd.
I own it. Yep.
So one of the things that went, we'll move along here onto some other stuff. One of the things that came about this week was that we lost another celebrity. Well, I wasn't a huge fan of his. I know a lot of people were, and but yeah, we Alex Trebek lost his battle with was it pancreatic cancer?
I believe so, yeah.
So the thing that came out about it though that I learned was that he used to be a curling announcer.
Yeah,
way back in the day.
I didn't see that.
Yeah,
prior to Jeopardy?
Oh yeah, long before Jeopardy, back in the early 70s, late 60s. Wow. And the picture of him like kneeling down over the curling rocks with a bunch of other announcers, and I think one of the actual curlers, and the guy's got a corn broom, and he's and they're
I'm still here. I'm just grabbing another beer.
and she kind of slides out of the picture.
Yeah.
But yeah, he I guess he was a curling announcer for CBC way back in the day, but yeah, I will give him props. While I wasn't a fan of his, I always thought he was too smug and too condescending when it came to someone who got a wrong answer on Jeopardy. And he's like, it was like, oh, well, I'm surprised you didn't know that. Of course it's this. And I'm like, yeah, you've got the answers, asshole. Of course you know what the fuck it is.
Or a mispronunciation of the correct.
Yes. Yeah, he always just came off as a smug ass. And I really didn't care for that.
But I think that was part of a little bit of the appeal behind why people also liked him in that aspect too. But you have to give him credit for like having as big of an impact to the game show TV network that he had. I mean, 30 plus years.
He was right? The only host of Jeopardy. He started in 1984. He is the only host of Jeopardy. Mm-hmm. Which I will give him credit for that.
Yeah. I always like the Jeopardy drinking game. Every time Alex Trebek speaks in French, you have to take a shot.
All right, CD, the most knowledgeable man ever in trivia, I think it's probably Ken Jennings.
Well, I mean, he was the one who lasted, over a year on the show?
He lost, though, to the other guy.
48 episodes.
48 straight episodes?
Like yeah, he actually lost, though.
Yeah, to one of the reigning champions who, like, they still had, like, the 5-game limit, right?
No. It was another guy that was, like, that was on for a really long time, and they brought him, Ken, and some other person on who had won not nearly as much as them for, like, this tournament of Ultimate Champions or something, and Ken actually lost. But I still think Ken was the better player. He just misplayed a couple of things.
Yeah.
From what I heard. Mm-hmm. But I haven't been into Jeopardy in a long time, so.
I would say the guy who usually does the questions on the NPR morning show, who essentially makes all the crosswords for the New York Post or one of the New York Times. Like, he writes all the crosswords.
Oh.
He's probably trivia master. Whatever his name is, and I should know it because I listen to NPR, but I can't remember it.
And while it is a tragic thing that Alex Trebek, passed away and all that for his family and friends and everything. But my thing was, I'm like, no, what it is Sean Connery just wanted to play Jeopardy.
Yep.
Yeah. And I saw
Get up here, Trebek.
And I saw a lot of them, like, as soon as that was announced and it being so close together, I saw a lot of things online where it was like the fact that they're together, like giving each other a hard time.
Dan Fryer is his name.
Fun.
So yeah, but yeah, so I will raise a glass to Alex Trebek for what is it, 30, 40, no, almost 40 years of
Pete, how old are you?
Of hosting the same show every day.
Mid-30s. I'll go there. Well, 36. He started in 84, and I was born in 84. So 36 years he was doing it. So
all right, so yep. Here's to you, Alex. All right, so one of the things one of the things I got to ask.
Got you back here.
No, it got me in the back of the throat, actually.
Oh.
So Pete, I know that you don't always keep up on a lot of the stuff on TV, but are you watching Mandalorian?
I finished episode 2 earlier today.
Yeah. Woohoo!
Of season 2?
Season 2.
Okay.
So I'm
excellent.
I'm up to speed. So if you want to do a Mandalorian,
so we're going to talk a little bit about Mandalorian. So what did you think of episode 1 of season 2?
My goodness, episode 1. What what a phenomenal way to start off a season. I just thought that it was like jumping right into it. I love going back to Tatooine. There's I felt like it was a great way of nodding back to so much original stuff, not just in the original trilogy, but also back to the prequels too. And then kind of tying some of like that history together, almost like very seamlessly, so much to the fact that you don't really notice it. Like on when they were on their speeder bikes, I swear that when they were doing the speeder bikes, that the Mando had his that he borrowed, but shoot, I forgot what was his name in that first
Timothy
episode?
Oliphant's character?
No, yeah, his
the Marshal.
The Marshal.
The Marshals, yeah. It almost looked like that was like a rehashed like version of Anakin's speeder from Episode 1.
Yeah, it was like the engine of a pod racer. It was a pod racer engine.
It looked like. Yeah. And I thought
it also made the same sound.
They recycled. And I thought that it was like actually the engine from Anakin's pod racer that was fitted to become a speed.
It was a different paint job, but I mean, a lot of the pod racers had that same type of engine.
Of course, of 50 years or whatever, but I was just like blown away by like all those little things, and then you're seeing the Marshal come in with obviously the iconic armor and wanting to know where everything's coming from there. The nod to the Sarlacc pit about there's no such thing as an empty Sarlacc pit unless if something ate the Sarlacc.
Yeah, but now the thing is that that's not necessarily the same Sarlacc pit.
No.
Oh, I understand that, but just the fact that what we know from before, seeing it kind of all tied together with the Boba Fett armor, it was like a nice it was nicely tied together. I felt like,
yes,
even though it may not have been that one. And then obviously the twist ending that came from there. And I liked it that they didn't immediately jump into it on the second episode. It was just a nice tease. They're probably going to bring it, I'm guessing, around like episode 4 or 5 later on. They're not just going to jump right into it. They need to kind of drag that out a little bit more, build up that anticipation.
Yeah. And then the second episode, which we can talk about a little bit. I don't want to get too spoilery just because it's only been since Friday. Yeah, it hasn't even been a week yet. I don't want to necessarily give away too much, but the description, they show creatures in this that I've only ever seen in the Old Republic video game. It's the only place I've ever seen them. And the way that it was described by a friend of ours was, love Mandalorian, but the second half of the second episode was a whole lot of nope, nobody, nope.
Yep.
And that's what I just watched.
Yeah. But I thought that was kind of a cool thing too, just the way that they did it. And Kevin Smith actually had a good tweet today. It showed Bugs Bunny talking to a little rabbit and getting right in their face and pointing their finger at him. He said, "This is me talking to my kid, explaining to my kid why Baby Yoda eating those eggs wasn't cute. It was genocide."
Oh.
I loved all the memes of that though. Of it shows, the child eat, stuffing an egg in his face, and it's me at the holiday times eating deviled eggs while my mom yells at me to save them for the guests. Which I know, is it dad? No, it's mom who loves deviled eggs that does that. Yeah, I don't care. I don't care for deviled eggs, but
I love deviled eggs.
But I think that he even did that one slow mo, right in front of Mando.
Yeah. Don't you?
But he doesn't know. I see a lot of people I
don't know if he does know or not. He's 50 years old.
Yeah.
Which is about 5 months old in terms of
whatever
lifetime.
Species that is.
Yeah, so he can't articulate any kind of speech. I think that
we've seen him eat legit frogs in season 1.
Yep.
So it only makes sense. But yeah,
A
no,
rude
like
baby, yeah.
rude baby. That's totally appropriate.
Oh, but in that first episode, I freaking lost it when you mentioned it in the last episode, I think, of Nerds with Alcohol, uh, when they're in the speedster and Baby Yoda has his head out and his ears are flapping in the wind like a dog with his head out the window. I went back and I rewatched that one because it was just like so glorious. I felt like, and it was
That's
like
awesome.
it was so wonderfully innocent and like it fit so well for the character. I felt like
I really liked it in the first episode when Mando it's like one of the opening scenes when Mando is sitting at the side of the fighting ring talking to whoever that was, and shit starts to go down, and his like little screecher
Whistling birds.
yeah, whistling birds, like the cover retracts and the child leans over and closes his hatch. Like, shit's about to go down.
Oh,
Peace
yeah.
out.
That's right.
Now,
Awesome.
one of the things I liked
I
about
think that character was played by John Leguizamo.
yes, he was.
Yeah.
I believe he was. And that's the thing is they're still getting so many cameos
Yeah.
in this, but
You would never know that unless if
well, right, and that's the thing. Some of them
tell.
aren't even recognizable. Like Quill was Nick Nolte.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean, you wouldn't
This is the
necessarily
way.
know it. What's
No,
that?
I have spoken.
Yeah, I have spoken. But the other thing is that whole fight scene there with the whole fighting ring with the Gamorreans fighting. One, I love that they used the old physical makeup
Yeah.
It looked like
for
it,
that.
yeah.
It wasn't CGI'd. And two, that was actually, and I've seen a lot of people talking about it, and I believe that was kind of a little nod to a non canon video game that I used to play the hell out of at a friend's house. We used to sit around and just play it on the original PlayStation, and it's the it was on the original PlayStation, and it's the I actually had to look up the name because I couldn't remember. It's the Masters of Terras Kasai. And it was a Star Wars fighting game. And that was the one where we used to sit around and drink and BS, and two people would play while everyone else was wandering around and drinking in a little small house. And you kept playing until you lost, and then you handed the controller off to somebody else, and then they would play and everything. I got so good. I was playing Luke Skywalker, I believe. And I got so good at certain moves that I was beating everybody. And I'm sitting there playing, and I'm like, "Oh, I gotta pee." And Mike Wiggins,
Wiggins.
yeah, the who's a friend that we lost a few years ago. He actually married Renee and I, but it was his house, and I had just beaten him, I think it was, and I'm like, "Oh, I gotta pee." He's like, "Nope, you gotta keep playing." So I actually sat
Wiggins
there.
would do that.
I sat there playing. I kept playing. I'm sitting there dancing in my seat, playing, but I wasn't losing, and I finally actually threw a game because I had to pee so bad.
Oh gosh.
I kind of remember
the play till you lose.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember doing that with Virtual Fighter 4 with Pete and Rich way back in the day. Oh yeah, PlayStation 2.
My goodness, yeah.
Oh yeah, you guys weren't even at college yet.
Yeah, that was I think senior year in
Yep.
school.
Man, we played a lot of Virtual Fighter 4.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's all I really wanted to say about that. I just wanted to see what your thoughts were on it. I think it's been a fantastic start to the season.
I have a question for Pete.
Yeah.
Sure.
What did you think of Princess Bride?
Well, see, yeah, we were gonna get into that later too, but yeah.
Did you want to go to it now?
No, let's go to it now.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's always been on my list. It's like one of those movies that the entire world has seen that I have not, and there's like
I'm not the only person who has never seen any movie ever.
Yeah, Princess
to work
Bride,
at a movie theater.
Yeah,
and
ironic,
even though working at a movie theater for 7 years and seeing practically everything that came in between 2000 and 2007. Even like the horrible movies because we screened everything. But
yeah,
I just never
it was 35 millimeter back then.
but it's like not one of those movies that we ever had. Like, you know, my parents always had like a lot of movies. We had like a lot of like taping movies off of VHS from TV, and we would have some VHS that had like 4 movies on it, but we never actually had Princess Bride. So
No,
it's
we
just something
didn't.
that I think none of us in the family actually watched growing up. And same thing with like Goonies or something like that.
Yeah,
So,
I saw Princess Bride because I was required watching for one of my classes in middle school. So that's how I
Required?
saw it.
Oh,
Yeah, it
interesting.
was actually a homework assignment, and
Okay.
Mom and I went up to, what was it, Hollywood Video back then,
Yeah.
next to Farmer Jack, which doesn't even fucking exist anymore.
Farmer Jack.
Yeah,
Now you're dating us.
yeah, I know. But yeah, Mom and I rented it
Okay,
because
yeah.
we started watching it, I believe, in my English class. I think it was for
Okay.
7th grade. And yeah, so we rented it and I watched it then and I loved it.
And
But yeah, we didn't have like, and I watched Goonies with Courtney in high school. That's the only way I saw it. But yeah, they weren't movies for us when we were growing up.
Yeah, so it was always been on my list, and then it just became like every single time that it, like, I always came across someone that said it, and that is their favorite movie. It actually happened at work when we were kind of discussing like our personal back history to like our entire team, and like someone was mentioning how that they were obsessed with it, and then it's like I knew that I had to watch it. I wanted to watch it with the boys as a family movie night, and you know what?
Perfect
I'm like,
movie for that.
It's like we're gonna do it, and we made a big movie out of it like a week and a half ago. Went downstairs, turned it on. I explained to the boys, hey, this is a movie that I think you'll like, and we turned it on, and you know, I had
Is this a kissing book?
Which they were like, my kids were laughing at that. I was laughing at it. It was like, and I going into it is like, I was honestly just kind of more worried that after not seeing it for so long, that the hype and the love that people have for it, it was going to be like too high of expectations. Well, not lame, but like high expectations of something that like I don't have that nostalgia that almost everyone else does have for this movie.
Yeah.
And that, like, was it built off of nostalgia, or was it built off because it was like a great movie? And I get it. It is built off of the fact that it is a great movie from beginning to end, I feel.
Yeah.
And I see that, like, it doesn't matter that it was like he was playing some video game system that was from
Commodore 64. I used to play that game.
Right? Like,
it's on a tape drive.
But other than that, that's the only thing that I would say that kind of dates it.
Mm-hmm.
If you were to just take that little part out, you wouldn't be able to tell that this occurred or was made, you know, 30 plus years ago, or if it was made a year ago. It could be made today, and you would have the same feel to it.
Yeah, that or the ROUSs, I think, are the only things that date it.
But for the most part, yeah. And I thought that it was great from getting in. It was a great story. The fight scenes were wonderful. The dialogue was spot on and spectacular. The interaction between I love the fight scene that was like in the very beginning. I'm sorry, I'm not as good with the character names right now.
The one between Wesley and Inigo.
Yes, like that. Was
and the ruins.
The
I'm not left-handed.
Yeah, and the fact that like they were both so smug about it, and they both had like you kind of knew both of their stories going in, how are they going to act towards this, because they kind of like spelled it out beforehand, and they had this wonderful dynamic with each other, and it flowed so well. And
you seem like a good fellow. I hate to kill you. You seem like a good fellow. I'd hate to die.
Yeah. But the fact that like even like when he said he's like, I have something to tell you. I'm not left-handed. And then he starts fighting, and then, you know, Wesley, he's just continuing to go left-handed. It just kind of like mess around with him for another minute or two before revealing it himself. It's like you knew that he was going to almost do that because of like how his character was, and then it just kind of flowed through like all the way to the end. But I really enjoyed it. My kids were enjoying it. They were cracking up during the whole time. My wife Jamie, she said that she saw it a long time ago. And she said that when she saw it originally, she thought that she wasn't a fan of it. She probably saw it, I don't recall what context she saw it in, but rewatching it, especially with all of us, she actually didn't remember a lot of it, and it was like watching it new for her too, and she actually enjoyed it more than
Yeah.
she thought that she was going to, because she thought that she didn't from so long ago. So probably she watched it like you, Renee, probably with like a group of people
Mm-hmm.
for class, that she probably wasn't interested in just watching an older movie because it was for school, and probably wasn't paying attention. So that's why she never liked it either. But when we watched it this time, she loved it, and we all did, and it was just great. Now,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I said in the text, I just got to watch it like 100 more times to catch up with the rest of the world.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can probably quote that movie from start to finish.
I probably
I-
could too.
I
One of-
love that
a lot
movie.
of people can, from what I hear.
Yeah, it's-
Yeah. One of the
Okay.
things that I love, or like one of the most powerful scenes in that movie, which I found out the true story behind it years later, is when Inigo,
Inigo.
Inigo's character, when he actually like is fighting the six-fingered man, and he does his whole
Oh,
speech
yeah.
of, and I guess that and
Mandy
and he's like,
Patinkin.
I want my father back, you son of a bitch. That whole scene. I guess that the actor had actually lost his dad shortly before the filming of the movie started.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
His father died of cancer, and during that fighting scene, that is what he envisioned. He envisioned that he was fighting cancer, and that is why that scene is so
Yeah.
powerful. And I'm just wow.
Yeah, that
And
was
it's a super powerful scene.
Yep.
Yeah, it's that movie's so good.
Yeah.
I love that movie.
movie.
We should watch it again, sweetie.
Anytime.
Awesome.
So the next one on the
Goonies
list
is next for you, though.
Yes, Goonies. Goonies is another one you need to watch with the boys. They will love that
Chris
movie.
and Dante Renee will come over to watch Goonies with you. We will wear
Yeah.
masks during the
So
whole thing.
Yeah, I actually just watched Goonies recently.
Yeah?
Yeah. My daughter got it for me for Christmas. I think it was years and years and years ago. She actually got me the DVD. I love that movie. It's our time.
I'm hoping that'll come up in the next week or two at our next big movie night.
I can't quote that one like I can.
Yeah, same. I can quote a fair amount of Goonies, but not like Princess Bride. But in the movie, a character is watching a movie, and Pete, you'll recognize the movie because it's Errol Flynn's Captain Blood. And it's
which movie?
In Goonies.
In Goonies.
Really?
A character in a scene is watching a movie.
Okay.
Junk.
Yeah. And it's actually Errol Flynn's Captain Blood.
Oh, then I would recognize it.
It's
that's
like
our
that.
All-time favorite movie.
Yeah, well, it's my favorite movie quote comes from that movie. So perhaps you have to bleed me again. Greatest movie quote ever.
So that's cool. One of the other things, though, Pete, I wanted to ask you about was you've done some DMing now. Speaking of D&D,
yeah.
You for Halloween you wanted to do something different because of the whole quarantine thing. So you wanted to do something different with your boys, and you actually ran a Harry Potter D&D adventure.
Yes. So I've done 2 DM sessions so far. Dungeons and Dragons kind of has these 2 kid versions that are out there. I think they're called the Heroes of Hesiod, and it's a very simplistic version of D&D where like each character is pre-made. It has like a couple health points, AC, a couple abilities, and there's like a wide variety of characters, and they just basically it's just around the story that they're being tested by the town master and they have to fight 4 battles. So I kind of use that as the guide. We did that twice. The boys had a wonderful time with it. It was the boys and my wife. We did it together. They had a really good time with it. They used my dice, and they kept on saying, "Well, you get to play D&D. Can we play D&D for real?" I'm like, "Well, I mean, I know you started probably when you were about 8 years old, Chris."
I was 9. Yeah.
And so it'd be at their age, but it's like
who DMs
like
that? The
I did.
9-year-olds DM?
Yep. I was actually the DM. I've been a DM since I was 9.
So
Damn,
it's
man.
I can't picture that they would do that, and it's also the fact that it's just like such a small like group. There's like the two of them and plus my wife. So what I wanted to do was take that, and since we had a big Harry Potter themed Halloween for quarantine for COVID, we had like a big Harry Potter like Halloween party at home. We had a lot of decorations. We had so many like activities, and one of them that my wife wanted, she actually is the one who approached me and said, "Hey, you want to make a Harry Potter D&D?" And I'm like, "Yes, please."
That's awesome.
So I went online and I took that Heroes of Hesiod and kind of built from there, and I created each of their characters, and like here's like a kind of like an example of it. This is my wife's like character.
Nice.
And I went online, and it's kind of like a character sheet. And I went online, found like those like build your own Harry Potter students like web games, like where you like add in clothes and styles and that. And I just made my two boys and my wife, and gave them all unique names, like unique last names, but they kept their first names and made them like in a particular house and a particular year and at Hogwarts. And I was like the Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher that was doing like their final exam at the end of the year, and they were pairing up with other years to have like a good balance. So I like created like wizard class, wizard health points, their witch speed, and then like their spell list and everything like that. So they each had like 2 spells that they each had for each of the characters, 1 unique attack spell and 1 unique utility spell. It's like kind of, and I have to give you a lot of credit, Chris, because trying to figure out the perfect balance of it against the monsters that they're fighting took a lot more work than I anticipated. The fact that it's like, well, I knew what monsters I wanted to do and how to make sure that I have them play out like where it's like not overwhelming, but enough to where that they can actually like enjoy and see the reward for it. So like some of the monsters that I had were like a young dragon, a boggart, young dementors, and I think a young basilisk. So like the basilisk and the dragon were pretty like standard. They were able to like have like a particular like hit armor class and amount of hit points, and they just had to basically attack it until it was down. But the dementors and the boggart I wanted to throw in there, and that's where like they each had like their specific spells, because only one spell works against each one. So I had that they had to use ridiculous on the boggart, and the boggart would change into something that I knew that each one, like my youngest or my oldest Sawyer, he's afraid of centipedes. My wife's afraid of spiders. I made my youngest his worst fear is empty plate of food because he loves to eat. And then they had to actually like cast ridiculous, explain to me how they made it funny, and laugh. So I made sure to make it as interactive as I could. And like,
That's cool.
It wasn't the fact that they had hit points, but they actually had to make an successful attack. But the other Heroes of Hesiod, you really only roll a d20, and if you get a nat 20, you get to roll a d6 for additional damage, is the way that works. But the boys see like a d8, a d12, and a d4. They're like, oh, can we use these? I'm like, that's not in there. So I actually added those into the game to try and make like basic throws.
You can tell them, if they ever ask like, what's the d12 for? Say nothing unless you're a barbarian, because almost no one else uses that. Is the least used die in the entire thing.
Yeah.
I never bring it out whenever we play because there's no point to it. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
But
my monk doesn't have it.
But I actually put in like, okay, instead of if they got a net 20, they roll a d4 because it's something different for them. They've never rolled a pyramid side die before. And then like with the basilisk, if it does its stare ability, they might be petrified. So I had them roll like a d8 to do a saving throw, in order to see if they survived it or not. So I tried to mix in that so that way they had a little bit more satisfaction of using other dice in there too, and they seemed to really enjoy it. So again, like I give you a lot of credit for DMing and having to plan for it in advance. I can't imagine how complicated it is playing with the like our group with how many PCs that there are, and trying to make sure that there's like a proper balance, because I had difficulty just doing it as basic as it was. I spent like 2 weeks leading up to it for like a 45-minute game. I had a blast pulling together. The kids had a wonderful time, and it was. I would change a few things in the end, but they, I had a map and they were able to move around, and each of the monsters had particular abilities. And then I had like little certificates that I made for the for them all.
Cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
So that way they earned it, and and it's signed by Dumbledore, and I signed it, and Fudge signed it, and all that. So
that's super cute.
So
most least used die, percentage dice.
That was just used on an episode of Critical Role that I just watched.
Well,
they use it for like divine intervention.
Yeah, you use it for divine intervention, but I use it a lot for like random treasure and stuff like that too.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. So Pete, you're ready to run the first one shot, right?
The first one shot? Well,
speaking. Ever since I jokingly said my idea, I've been noodling over it. I just don't know how to make it happen because there's nothing on the internet.
What idea was that?
What do I paint the most of? I paint
mimics.
I paint a lot of mimics.
Okay.
I kind of really want to make a small little one shot where everyone's a mimic and you have to eat adventurers.
Oh gosh. Oh my gosh. So we're playing the mimics?
It's just the idea I have. I have no idea how to make it happen.
That is a really fascinating idea. I really like that. Yes.
I haven't shown you my new mimic that I have to paint.
No. The one thing I will say, well, she grabs that because it's right there. But the one thing I will say, yeah, there it is.
Oh my gosh.
It's a mimic mug.
I love that. My goodness. Okay.
And what it is it's actually, you put cans inside of it. You don't drink out of it. It's 3D printed.
It's not food grade.
That's actually 3D printed.
Yeah.
Really? From your printer?
No, that's way too big to put on mine. No, that's actually
a filament printer.
Yeah, filament printer. The FLM, I think, is what it is, or whatever it is. But yeah, it's that's what it is, and it's actually really good quality, though. I will say that it's well made.
Yeah, I bought it off of Etsy for like $30.
Oh, that's a good deal then. Yeah. Very nice. Can't wait to see the finished product then when you paint it.
Yeah. I haven't painted in over a month.
But I have to say, I dig that idea of having it kind of reverse, and if we're like mimics.
Will you play the bad guys? Yeah.
Like we're mimics in a dungeon that are like talking to each other, and we're trying to like stop adventurers from coming in.
Yep.
And we may not even know why we're trying to stop them, just the fact that we're there.
No, you're hungry.
Yeah.
That's why.
I think that is a really cool idea. I'm sure that we can figure out how to expand upon that and make it work.
I will tell you this. One of the things I will warn you about with as you get into DMing and running adventures, things like that. No, you can do all the planning in the world, but no adventure that you create will survive first contact with adventurers. Your players will fuck it up every time. They will go in a direction you didn't expect, and you'll be like, and have to make stuff up right on the fly.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Heard that more than once.
I'm sure we've done it plenty of times to you over the past year.
You've done it a few times. I love these little ads.
Yeah, I just saw that.
Yeah.
But I have a lot of fun with it. It's, like I said, very basic level, just doing it with kids, and not nearly to the level of what they were like. They want to do like the full experience, but I'm like, it's a little bit much for you guys right now. I think that maybe when they're a little bit older, maybe I would actually do like honestly, my first one would probably be similar to what we did for the majority of the first year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Doing the
Oh,
the Lost Mines of Phandalin.
Yeah.
Oh, it's that one, not that one.
Well, that's part of it too.
Be just because
that's but the one behind you. Yeah, the one behind you, honey. That's actually that's you guys' place now.
Is that our mansion?
Yeah, that's the caverns.
Oh, that is a mansion. That's what's underneath.
Yeah, that's underneath your mansion.
Fuck yeah, man.
That's a nice mansion. Too bad we haven't been there in a long time. You know, I just realized that
only randos when Russ is out.
Speaking of D&D in our game, you know, like I just realized that this is what, episode 6 that we just did?
Yeah, 6 was the one we just did.
Yeah, so we launched at episode 1 was when we hit level 5, right?
Yeah, right around there, yeah.
Yes.
So, and we're still level 5, Chris.
Yes, you are.
I can't wait for level 6 because monks get a boost at 6.
Mm-hmm.
So speaking of our game, though, the we played last week. I thought it was a fantastic time. You guys are now in what is a true traditional dungeon crawl. It is a multi-level dungeon that you've now found. So this is more of the old school dungeon crawl that you're getting now. So there's still some role play in there. I'm still throwing some things in for that. But for the most part, this is what, if you hear people talking about it's usually called the old school dungeon crawl. This is what it is. It's just you wound up in a dungeon, and depending on the dungeon, I mean, like Undermountain, which is underneath Waterdeep, you could go into Undermountain and level from 1st to 20th level and never leave the dungeon.
Holy cow.
How do you buy anything? You just don't? You find it all?
You find it all, or there were places where you could like meet up with underground denizens that you could befriend and get things. But for the most part, you didn't buy anything. You just found it. There was no going and selling magic items. There was none of that.
There was no point in like collecting gold.
To an extent, yeah. I mean, basically, you were creating your retirement fund for if you get out.
But until that point, you can have as much gold as you want. It's not going to matter.
Yeah.
I like it how, like in the last one, that I was surprised, like when we first started and we're done with a short rest, and Sydney is like the very first thing that she does when we come up, her very first next battle was fireball. I'm like, what are you doing? No, you're throwing out a 3rd level already. Like she's like, I'm done with this life, or done with this place. I'm like, I have a feeling
we had so much more to do.
I'm like, I think that we're going to be here for a long time. Like we have probably a couple more sessions in here, I feel, with the way that it's been going, and you're throwing out a 3rd level spell in the very beginning. And I'm like being very conservative with my spell slots as a wizard, and I was hesitant to use that suggestion spell that I wasted on that suit of armor. But I wanted to give it a try because I thought that it would be something cool that we can have while continue on going for a little while. But that's the risk. Mm-hmm. But I thought that it was like a little premature on her part, and then her saying that it's like, I'm done with this place. Like, yeah, but I think we're gonna be here for a couple more nights in game.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm glad you guys are enjoying it. I'm still having a lot of fun.
I love it.
Fun running it.
I have so much fun with it.
And I'm really looking forward to seeing what you guys think of what I've got planned for even the rest of this particular dungeon crawl. I want to see what you think of it, and then what I've got planned after that. So
I love it when Phelan speaks with plants because I know they're usually
when
like
he
10 minutes
when he
long.
talks to botanicals,
Yes,
walks with
and walks
botanic.
with botanicals.
It's
It is
hilarious and
so
frustrating at the same time.
yeah, it's frustrating because it takes like 10 minutes for the interaction to
But it's
happen,
worth it.
but it's
Hello,
so funny.
hello.
Phil, what was it? Wasn't the fungus named Phil? Something like
Yeah, I
that?
think he named him Fungus because
Yeah.
he's like, what's your name?
What?
Name?
Name, yeah.
I'm gonna call you Phil. It's
Okay.
Oh.
hysterical. But like
Eh,
that, I like D&D for role playing. Like, yeah, I like the clickety clackety, dice,
Math rocks.
rock math rocks as
Yeah.
well.
The clickety
But
clickety clackety math rocks.
but I really love role playing. That's that's what like interests me in it. But yeah, oh man, when he's actually talking to plants, I think it's fucking
And
hysterical.
I love that he's making up songs for his spells and stuff. Because
that-
and I'm kind
yeah.
of I'm trying to push him to do them. I'm like, no, what's the song? What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the walk with botanicals one happened at work, and we were in mid conversation in the lab, and we were talking about like one of the beers that we had fermenting at the time, and we were having an issue with it. And literally mid conversation, I'm taking like the pH of whatever I'm working on, and he's like, "Oh my god, I got it!" And I'm like, "What just happened?" And he just starts singing, "I want to walk with botanicals and talk with botanicals." And I immediately stop what I'm doing because I am laughing too hard. Because he's a real life bard. Like, I see him on the bottling line, and he's like, I can see him writing music in his head because that's what he does. It's hilarious to me. But yeah, mid conversation, starts singing "I Want to Walk with Botanicals." He still doesn't have anything for Shattered yet, though,
Yeah,
which he needs to work on.
yeah. So I see you're drinking your other beer, Pete. What do you think of it?
Yeah.
It is very very citrusy. It's very heavily on the
Appropriate.
lime. Let me take another sip of it. Oh yeah, you definitely it's definitely that sour. It's that sea quench ale
Mm-hmm.
with like lime juice, lime peel, black limes. I'm not as familiar with those, and sea salts, but it is very tasty. It's it's a session, so it's under 5%, 4.9, but it is really good. I enjoy like sours quite a bit.
I like
I,
lactose
I like.
sours.
Hmm?
Lactose sours.
I'm not as
They're the
familiar
ones
What
that
you're
are more
drinking.
tart. They're the more
Yeah.
tart type of sour versus the earthy sours.
Okay. But I like a lot of things from Royal Oak Brewing, which I think are a lot of sours as well. So pretty much anything from there, I really enjoy. This one's really good.
Rail Oak does a
It's got-
few, but everything at Rail Oak that he's done as a sour is a Brett sour.
Okay. But this is really solid. I like this one a lot. I have a 6-pack, and I just cracked open the very first one, so
Nice.
I'm looking forward. I don't know if I would have 2 in a row of them. It might be a little bit overwhelming with the amount of like potent flavor
Acid.
to it. But yeah, but it's good. I highly recommend it.
Cool.
Awesome. I'd like to try it.
I am actually opening up another one because I want something else.
Is that wine bottle empty?
Yes.
Oh.
There was one more glass in it.
Oh. Good.
There's still a little bit in there, but it's mostly sediment now.
Oh. No.
But no, I'm actually having a brunch.
Ooh,
So
yum.
I did actually want to bring up one thing myself.
Yeah.
For you guys.
Well, guests don't get to do that. No.
Well, it's a nerdy thing, and
Yeah. What's that?
It just depends on like if you have an appreciation for it. So for me, while I'm not really an artist, I still enjoy drawing, and I like when I was a kid, even though I became an engineer, When I was a kid, I always wanted to truly be an animator. That was something that I always like was striving to be, was like a Disney animator for a long time until I hit about 16 and realized that I didn't really have that particular talent for creativeness for to be an animator. I was more wired to be logic, and I turned to engineering. But I still enjoy drawing, and I have an appreciation for animation and cells and that. And I found this site through, I hate to admit it, but Facebook targeting. Those ads.
Hey, they've gotten me a couple of times.
They've gotten me
like,
too, man.
And it's like, I know you are freaking listening. But this was something random that came up, and I checked out the site. I saw YouTube videos for it, and it's actually like old, like 70s, 80s, 90s cartoons that they are selling off the cells, like the animation cells, for those old cartoons. So things like He-Man, Sonic the Hedgehog, Super Mario Brothers, so many. It's actually called animationlegends.com. And I actually got a 10-pack of Sonic the Hedgehog. And I actually got a bunch of cells. There's like a Robotnik.
Oh, Dr. Robotnik.
Yeah.
Cool.
I didn't get any of Sonic or Tails.
Awesome.
But there's a Robotnik, and this one is a Grounder. Sorry for the glare.
That's okay.
Well, I don't remember Grounder.
He's one of the bad
guys.
guys.
Oh, wait, I do remember Grounder. Yeah.
He's one of the henchmen of Robotnik.
Yeah, I do remember him.
I make the boys watch a lot of the old like cartoons that I watched when I was a kid. So Sonic and Super Mario Brothers, like with
Super Mario Brothers Super Show.
Yes, that one with like the actual sitcom version in the beginning and the end though. So we watch a lot of those ones. So when I saw these like kind of come through, you know, for like usually a cell, if you were to buy it in like a store back in like when they sold them in like the Disney store or Warner Brothers store, it would be like $150 for like one frame cell. I got like 10 of them for like $45. And
awesome.
They actually, some of them even come with like some sketch work that is behind it or on the back of it. So, you know, I just went for it, and I just, and you don't know what you're getting. It's like kind of like a mixed batch. If you get like a 10-pack, you get like 3 or 4 like really high quality cells where it's like the majority of a character. But then you get like, and then there's like some that are more random that are a lot smaller. Like you can see, like here's like another Grounder, but it's like a lot smaller compared to the other one, but it's like a full character. And then you have some that it's funny because here's like another one of that same character, but his head's missing. but his head is missing because the way that they used to do it is if you were to actually pay attention to the way that the animation is done, probably for a couple seconds, only the head or mouth might be moving. The rest of the body is static. So when they're animating it, because of low budget, they will do one like full body and then only animate the mouth and then just do that. So there might be just a full cell of just a mouth.
Well, yeah, and it takes them a lot less time to just animate the mouth rather than having to redraw that whole thing every time.
It and then just have the character static. Like Flintstones and Yogi Bear are like perfect examples of that because if you were to actually like notice that they always have a collar in like those old Hanna-Barbera ones, because the body would be one cell, but they would always animate the head, and it was easy to replace the head because of the collar difference. So they did the same thing.
Yeah, they had a sharp line.
With, like, and that's where like Grounder here has like his like little collar here too, so that way they can do the same thing. And you know, it depends if you like it or not. It comes with a certificate of authenticity and that, but I took a shot at it. It seemed legit based off of some reviews on Facebook, and they had new TV shows on there. And if you had a particular favorite show, I say give it a shot. You might find something that, and these were actually used on the actual show. So I'm going to frame a couple of them, put them in the theater room downstairs, some of the nicer ones. And I think that would be like a cool piece of history from like your own like nostalgia of whatever your favorite cartoon was back in the day.
Cool. That's super cool. Man, I love the Sonic show. That was like our Sunday morning cartoons.
Sunday morning?
I think so. I remember it being
Saturdays.
Sunday. Was it Saturday?
Yeah, Saturdays
I
were
don't
always when
remember.
the cartoons were on.
I was 5. I don't remember. Time
Yeah,
wasn't a concept for me.
I remember
cartoons
the
after
weekday
school.
cartoons.
Yeah, like around 3:30, 4 o'clock.
Yeah, I remember
Or
it
7
was
a.m.,
like
the
it was
preschool ones. I used to get
like
up and
Super
watch G.I. Joe
Mario.
in the morning.
Yeah, it was like Super Mario Brothers Super Show, followed by Sonic, followed by Link or Zelda.
That was Fridays only.
Was that Fridays? Okay. Like I said,
No,
I think I was 5.
Our lineup after school was Mario, Sonic, and I think Carmen Sandiego.
Yes. Forgot about Carmen Sandiego.
So we had a particular lineup right after school before we had to start homework. But
yeah, and then when I got into 4th grade, then it was Toonami from 4 o'clock until 6 o'clock.
All right, so there's one more thing that I wanted to do with you guys, talking about shows and everything like that, that I thought would be kind of fun because we got a couple of guests on, and gonna play a new game.
Oh God.
Called Get to Know Our Guests. So I got a couple.
I feel like you know me pretty well.
Yeah, I do, but this is for the world. So I just have a few questions about some of your favorite things that I wanted you to answer. So we'll have Renee go first on this one, and we can kind of go back and forth. This is not like a schoolyard pick'em. You can repeat answers if you need to. So the first thing, because this is Nerds with Alcohol, what is your favorite adult beverage?
Oh, gin. That's easy. I am a gin connoisseur. I like alcohol, so of course I'm a beer and cider and wine connoisseur as well, but my go-to drink, particularly in hard alcohol, is a gin. And I overanalyze gin, as like my little tangent about fooders earlier in this episode. Yeah, I overanalyze gin. Like if you pour just straight gin over ice, and if you have precipitates that come out, like, oh, you didn't actually use your citrus fruits right, like not great. Yeah. Gin is my go-to. Is my go-to drink.
Yeah. How many different kinds of gin do we have on the bar
on
right
the
now?
rocks.
How many different kinds of gin do we have on the bar right now?
14.
Oh gosh.
I think. Yeah, I think it's like 14. I don't know. Sydney may have drank some of it on me. But yeah, between Sydney and Alexandra, yeah. Yeah, it's something like that. I mean, I have gin from Iceland. I have gin from
Cool.
Ireland. Many from Michigan, few from out of state.
Yeah, that gin from Iceland, a friend of ours brought it back from Iceland. He asked if anybody wanted anything, and I'm like, if you can get a cheap bottle of gin. So he paid I think it was like the equivalent of like
$20.
Yeah, like $20, and Renee's like, this is really good gin.
It's not overly botanically. Like if you like a less botanical gin, it's a good one. I like gins that are super botanically all the way to like not botanically. Like I like all ranges, and I like them for different things. And I actually rate my gins in like 3 different categories of these are my mixing gins. I only like them when they're mixed with other things, whether that be with tonic or olive juice and vermouth, or in blood orange juice or whatever, or tomato juice. Like my mixing gins. My gins that I drink like I prefer my scotches and my whiskeys neat. I'll drink them neat or over the rocks. I actually have 3 categories of how I rate my gins, and some of them span all 3. Some are only in those categories. But yes, gin is my go-to drink.
Okay. What about you, Pete?
I am not nearly as sophisticated as my dear sister over here, but
I make alcohol for a living.
But this is your life, and this is what you built your entire career on.
Yep.
And what you were going to school for when you didn't realize what you're going to school for, right?
Hey, if they had fermentation sciences when I was in college, I totally would have gone into it, but they didn't exist when I was in college.
But
anyway.
My go-to, honestly, is just simply Bailey's. I
Bailey's is good.
I love.
So is it Bailey's over beer? Because I thought you'd go with beer.
Yeah, honestly, I think that it would be Bailey's in the end because sometimes, like, if I get like any Bailey's, it's almost gone like
Yeah.
immediately.
You need to try my white Irish butt.
White Irish Bud.
Yeah,
I don't
it's a
know
really
that,
good
but
mixed drink that he makes.
you're gonna have to send me that recipe and.
No.
Oh no, he'll make it, and then
Oh,
you'll
you'll make
probably
it?
spend the night.
Yeah, well, the problem is that I have to go to truly make it. I have to go to Kentucky because one of the liquors we can't get here.
Oh darn, we have to go to Louisville for a weekend. Shucks.
We got to go down to Tennessee anyway. So
This is true.
Well, I'll be interested in trying that as soon as we're able to.
It
get
tastes
back
like
to
French
Springfield.
silk pie in a drink.
Ooh, okay.
It's super good.
But I like Bailey's with like a little bit of cream in it over ice, or just by itself over ice. Honestly, I will go through that so quickly if I honestly purposely don't buy it myself because I will go through it so fast. My wife will buy it for me every now and then, and
Mint Bailey's.
And just any kind of Irish cream. I just love that Irish cream taste. And
Yeah.
while I love craft beers and I love trying out new things, I love, like, you guys actually got me into that when you guys started brewing yourselves and trying out. I will actually really enjoy your strawberry.
Yeah, you were our first commission.
Yeah, and as soon as you guys are able to, like, if you guys are doing it again, I would put in another order for you guys.
Yeah, we want to get back to it.
Yeah, we need to brew again.
I really enjoy that, and that's actually what got me into trying all the different types of craft brews. But yeah, if I were to say it, I would say that it was any type of Irish cream, and I'm not really that picky. Whether it has to be Bailey specific or one of the cheaper brands. I think that all of it tastes well, and I really enjoy that.
Yeah, those are good. Really good in coffee too.
Yes.
I think the white Irish butt, if I'm not mistaken, Chris, is Irish cream, white Irish cream, and
white chocolate Irish
butterscotch?
cream. Yeah,
that's it.
So it's Irish cream, white chocolate Irish cream, and butterscotch.
Which is the one we can't get here.
Yeah. And I have a bottle of it, but it's really old, and I don't trust it because it's made with
it's probably not
Irish
good
cream.
Anymore.
Turtles. Yeah, it's really good stuff. The white chocolate Irish cream that I get, it's only like $12 a bottle.
Yeah, Bailey's, Kahlua, and vodka.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It mixes so well so many things, and honestly, I like it that you can just sip it for a nice long time.
I'll tell you what, something that I found that's really good. We bought a bottle of the Godiva dark chocolate, and really we bought it to mix with the Screwball whiskey.
Which is peanut butter whiskey.
It's a peanut butter whiskey, so to make a peanut butter cup. And that is actually pretty good, but what's even better is my adult chocolate milk that I created, which was basically some ice in a glass, in a rocks glass.
Yeah, dude.
It's like 2 shots of the dark chocolate liqueur, and then you just fill the rest of the glass with milk. We use almond milk, but we use unsweetened vanilla almond milk, and mix that in, and it looks like chocolate milk, and it tastes like chocolate milk. It is so fucking good.
You drink it too quickly.
Oh my god!
You can get white girl drunk on that real quick.
Yeah, I like CDs. So there's a name for it. Drunk, I think.
Yeah. I call that white girl drunk.
Yeah. But
yeah, no, Bailey's is delicious.
It is. All right, so Pete, we're gonna go with you first on this one.
Sure.
Favorite all-time video game?
Oh, Super Mario Brothers 3.
Super Mario 3. Okay.
That's
a good one.
NES. I probably overall replayed that game more times than any other game I've ever played. I just feel that is one of the most perfect games for replayability and just overall fun. I just go to that so often, and I even was playing it with it on the Switch. They have like the old style games that like very select few that you can play, and that's one of them. And I honestly, play with it with my oldest, and I know all the secrets. I know all the ways to like jump through it really fast with warp whistles and that. But leave it to my boy that he's a true completionist. Sawyer has
Is that
to go
Sawyer?
through. That's Sawyer, and he wants to go through every single level. And I'm like, you're awesome, kid. And we just worked on it together, and we went through beginning to end, going through every single level. I mean, I did probably like 80% of it because I know every single level so well. But he had a great time with it. We beat it together, and it was like a good bonding experience. But that's probably like I would say my number one. Yeah.
Oh.
Cool.
I have plenty. I mean, there's Final Fantasy, Kingdom Hearts.
I actually expected one of those. You surprised me with the Super Mario 3. That's a
close second is Final Fantasy X. I would say
10's really good.
Final Fantasy X is probably my all-time Final Fantasy. That 10 and 10-2. 10-2 gets a lot of heat for the way that it is, but I think it's got a really great combat system and it's good overall like story that continues.
It brought back a combat system that had been lost in Final Fantasy for a long time.
Since 5, yeah. The costume combat system.
Yeah.
But I love those two games too. I got that actually the remakes of it on PlayStation 3, and then I sold it, and then I got the remakes on PlayStation 4 again.
Nice.
To replay it, and I that's probably the one that I replayed the most out of all the Final Fantasies. Although I am replaying Final Fantasy 7 after the remake. I just finished the remake, and I'm replaying Final Fantasy originally on PlayStation now too. But Mario Brothers 3, I think would be my number one favorite, close by Final Fantasy 10 series.
So what about you, Renee?
I haven't narrowed it down to like
That's
4, and I can get it down to 2. It depends if I go with like what I've played the most, like what I've gone back to the most, or what I have like the most memories of.
See, that's where I went, like the one that I have the most memories of, and like nostalgia factor,
and it's almost a twofer. Like I love the original Final Fantasy 7, and frankly the American Final Fantasy 3, like the Japanese 6.
Yep.
That was the first like actual like RPG that I played by myself, without my brother's assistance.
Mm-hmm.
But so like
you
that,
played it on an emulator on the computer.
Yeah, we did. Yep. And like that holds a special place in my heart. But the game that I played the most as a child was actually it's between one of two. On Super Nintendo, it was the Lion King game, which I played from start to finish more times than I can count. And
that is a very frustrating game though too.
Oh no, I can
never played that.
Even when you're in the what is it, the it's like the second to last stage right before you fight Scar, where you're like going through like I think you're going through the elephant graveyard again, and it's essentially the puzzle through all the caves. I still have that memorized. I have no doubts that it would take me probably like 2 tries, but like I know it's like first level, second to last cave, go up to the third level, second one in, down to like we totally got that. It's between that or Super Mario Brothers because we played it so much as kids.
Which Super Mario Brothers?
On Super Nintendo.
Super Mario World.
Is that what it was? I don't remember.
Yeah. Super Mario World. Yeah.
So which?
Yeah, that one.
But if you had to pick one, which one are you picking?
Probably Lion King because I could play that one on my own because I didn't have to read yet. Because that was a game I could play without having to read. Because for a long time, Pete read all the dialogue for me. Because here's me at 5 and Pete at 11.
Yeah.
All right, so one more.
Okay.
Renee, go ahead. Favorite movie?
Ooh.
I know you're not a movie.
Favorite movie?
Yeah.
Oh, no, actually, Repo the Genetic Opera. That is my favorite movie.
I don't know this one.
Do not watch that one with the boys.
No.
Okay.
Nope. Not until they're at least 15.
Paris Hilton is in it.
But you don't
okay.
realize it's her. Her face literally
Okay,
falls off.
Can you at least explain the premise of the movie? Because I've never even heard of this movie.
Giles
Okay.
is in it.
He doesn't know who Giles is.
Oh.
Cliff Note version of Repo the Genetic Opera. Plastic surgery becomes a normal, everyday thing, and everybody gets it. Not just plastic surgery, but like, organ transplants and all of that. And of course, those types of surgeries are very expensive. And if you can't make your payments, the repo man comes to take them away. Doesn't matter if you're alive or dead.
Okay.
He will come to collect. And it's actually a musical.
Yeah, it is. It's a musical.
Fascinating. Okay.
And there's some
It
great
is-
music in it.
Yeah, it is dark and it is morbid and it is great.
Zydrate Anatomy is
Yes.
an
Hydrate
absolute...
Anatomy is probably the most well-known song from it.
Yep, and it's a fantastic song.
Yeah. It's very very industrial.
Yeah,
music.
which is one of the reasons why I like it so
influence.
much, because I love the industrial music, and a lot of the songs are like that. But yeah, there's people that you recognize in there.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, and it's
Is it on
it is
Netflix or
dark
something?
and it is morbid.
We own it.
It's- Yeah, it's
Okay.
great.
It may be something that you gave me the entire Marvel collection. I might need to borrow that one.
I'd be happy to. It's a great movie. It is not child appropriate.
I'm sure.
But yeah, the guy that plays the Repo Man is Rupert Giles from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. It's
Yeah.
Anthony Head, who is an absolutely amazing singer, and
Mhm. He
and
kind of
yeah.
has a Jekyll and Hyde, almost a Jekyll and Hyde aspect to him, in that he is this loving, caring father.
yeah,
but
he's
he is
trying to
also
take
the
care of his
Repo
daughter, and
Yeah,
Okay.
and he has to stay very disconnected. Like, he has to keep work very separate compared to,
When
he's
was
he's
it
a
made?
single dad. He's a widower,
Hmm.
and because he's literally like killing people, like he's a legal assassin
Uh-huh.
to go collect these body parts that people haven't paid for.
Interesting.
Like, there's
Okay.
one scene where he's literally talking on the phone with his kid and he's taking out someone's spine. It's
What is this
fucked
called
up.
again?
Repo the Genetic
Repo?
Opera.
The genetic
Repo
opera.
the genetic. All right, I just gotta.
And the music,
I gotta follow up with this one here.
the music is very it is very opera-esque.
Gothic opera musical horror film.
Yeah.
There's a lot of description for.
Yeah.
A movie. Okay, I like it. I like it.
It's
All right.
it spans a lot of things, but it is very opera-esque and very industrial. It's a beautiful blend of the two genres of music that I haven't seen done in anything else. The closest thing that comes to it is Nightwish, and
Yeah, and
that's frankly opera and death metal.
Yeah, and the guy that wrote it is actually in it. He's
Yeah.
the Gravedigger.
Yeah, very, very similar to how in Rocky Horror Picture Show, the author and writer of the music is the dude with the long hair in Rocky Horror Picture
Yep.
Show. He is also in it.
Speaking of Rocky Horror, I never saw it until my wife showed it to me when we first started dating.
Oh, it's such a
Yeah,
horrible
I see.
movie.
It's so good though.
I always said that she corrupted me after showing me that.
It's a lot of fun when you see it with a bunch of other people that know the lines, and you do the whole open the
It
church
was a
doors.
revolutionary
and,
movie because it was the first
For the
movie
time.
to ever come out that showed transgender culture, gay culture, and various other cultures.
And I love the music in it. I've
Yeah.
had the CD of the soundtrack and used to play it all the time. I absolutely loved it. Used
Yeah.
to go see it all the time.
Yeah, that was the first musical that, frankly, the LGBTQ community could like call their own. It was like, these people exist, and
The
they're okay
transsexual.
too.
What is it? The transsexual transvestite.
Transsexual from
No,
Transylvania.
transsexual transvestite from Transylvania.
Yes.
All right. So what about you, Pete? What's your favorite movie?
You know what? There's one that has always been like, and I honestly can't explain too much on why it's always been my favorite, but it goes back a long time ago, like when I was honestly like 12 years old when I first saw it. It's like actually an old like 1950s war movie. I don't know if Renee, you actually know what I'm talking about.
The Great Escape?
It's The Great
That
Escape.
movie is awesome.
The Great
I
Escape.
honestly expected What Dreams May Come out of you, because I know you love that movie also.
I like What Dreams May Come. I have a big list. I actually was trying to come up with a list back in the days when Chris was doing like his like top 10 movies or like influential movies like on your web or Facebook site. I was kind of like making a list, but honestly, Great Escape is like one of my all-time favorite movies. I would always go back and rewatch it. It's a long one. It's like 3 hours long, but it takes place back in like World War II, where like a group of POWs, mostly English POWs with a few Americans, even though there really weren't Americans if you look at the actual history of it at the time of the Great Escape. But Steve McQueen's
I think it was all
got,
English soldiers, but they shoehorned Steve McQueen in.
And a few, and just, but it's got like so many iconic like classic actors in it at the time and early on in their career.
Yeah.
And I just love like the idea that all these people, like 200, 300 people coming together to have a common goal, working on like one thing to make something happen. To be able to do what they did, even though it had like a sad ending, though, like everything leading up.
It was accurate.
It's incredibly accurate. I've even seen like documentaries of it, going back and trying like seeing like how accurate it was. They actually had people that were actually part of the like actually in the camp that were part of it. They didn't necessarily were escapees, but they helped work on it because and they were consultants on the movie itself, and they Hollywooded it up a bit.
Oh yeah, they took
for
artistic
character, but a lot of it were based on real characters, and I love the fact that it was like based on real events.
Yeah.
The reason why I think like Apollo 13 is another big favorite of mine as well. It has a very similar concept where like it was a real event and so many hundreds of people working together to a common goal to save a particular group of people. That's kind of like the way The Great Escape was. But I remember falling in love with the movie back when I was like 12 years old the first time I saw it. And I would rewatch that movie like over and over again all the time. I always loved it.
Yeah, Great Escape I've always really loved. Captain Blood I've always really loved. But
never seen either of those.
They're great. We should start a list for you.
There'd be a lot of old movies because that's the one thing I got into the Hepburn Tracy movies for a while, but
those are great too.
But
so we can skip those.
But other than that, I really didn't get into many old movies. I mean, I watched Maltese Falcon. I joke around about Casablanca because I actually never actually watched Casablanca, but I always joke around that it's a great movie, but it's full of cliches. It
is a good movie. It's a little sexist, but it was made in the 30s, so what do you expect?
But yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of those, but I'm not a big 50s, 60s war movie guy.
You see, whereas that's all we watched growing up, especially on Memorial Weekend with John Wayne war movie weekend.
Yeah, see, I'm not a John Wayne guy. I've never liked John Wayne. I've never been a big fan of John Wayne.
Don't say that to our father.
How are we married?
We have a lot of other things in common. It's okay to have some things that are different.
Yeah. John Wayne movies are great.
I had a couple more questions, but we're gonna skip those now because we got to start wrapping up.
No.
We got to start wrapping up.
We can make it quick.
No.
We'll go quick.
No. Because there's a couple other things I wanted to talk about. One of which is, and I meant to mention this earlier, Assassin's Creed Valhalla came out today.
Yeah, Ian's actually not on the show because he's playing it because I invited him to the show. And he's like, Valhalla comes out tonight.
Yeah, and
you're lame.
And I would have probably been playing it if it wasn't for the fact that I had to do the show. And so there was no way I was buying Valhalla today because I'd have been late to the show. And, but then the other thing is that also today was the release of the Xbox Series X and Series S, their latest
Okay.
console. And in 2 days is the PlayStation 5.
Yes.
I would like to go on record and say they've been making these systems for decades now. They need to stop shorting their opening day releases.
Yeah.
They know what the demand is going to be. They need to make sure that they have enough supply for the demand. This constant, every time they come out with a new system, they purposely make or only release. They've got millions sitting in a warehouse,
Yeah.
but they only release so many that opening day is bullshit.
Yeah.
And I understand part of it is to try and keep their probably keep their servers to where they don't melt down on the opening day. But they need to fix that. They need to figure out how to fix that.
Is it really
Sounds like you need to work for Sony, sweetie.
It shouldn't be overwhelming compared to what is currently out there between Xbox and PlayStation 4.
Yeah.
Like right now, it shouldn't be overwhelming if they
they should already have that figured out.
Yeah, exactly. Honestly, I think they're just kind of creating their own demand. Actually, the way that you're describing it kind of reminds me of a Futurama episode where like the new like iPhone comes out and everyone was like Fry and everyone in Futurama was like rushing to get a new iPhone, and they're like rushing to the table. There's this huge line. They finally get in, and there's like, "Are there any left?" And the guy behind the counter is like, "There may be one." And then he goes out there and he puts his hand behind the curtain, and there's like a huge assembly line with like millions of them, and like one drops in his hand, and they're like, "There might be one left." And then he gives it to it like as though he got the one of the last ones, even though there's millions in the background, like 5 feet away.
Yep.
Like I honestly think it's something along those kind of lines, but that's honestly part of why I don't buy game systems like new ones like the first year. I actually will wait until next year when more games are available and the price may come down.
Well, one of the things is there were a couple games I want to play on the new system. Cyberpunk is one of them, but now I'm hearing that Cyberpunk's probably not coming out till next year now. They've delayed it yet again, and now they're talking about that they're going to delay it yet another time.
Yeah. It's classic supply and demand.
It is, and I understand
it's probably a combination of that, and like you made the good point of, so their servers don't get overwhelmed. They can implement 100,000 new units, get those in, and then do another 100,000 units or however many units
it's just,
it is.
As a consumer and as someone who loves their systems,
it's frustrating as
fuck. Is frustrating. It is frustrating as hell, and I'm fucking tired of it. Mm-hmm. So
it's funny that you brought up both Xbox and PlayStation because literally at work today, myself, Ian, and our new guy Chris got into a discussion about which game systems are better based on controllers. Oh, Sydney was also in on it. She joined the conversation later when I was playing with the puppy. What that I've noticed, women usually gravitate more towards PlayStation because the controller is smaller, and dudes usually gravitate towards Xbox because the controller is bigger and it is what is physically most comfortable to play.
Well, and for me, I've always been a PlayStation guy, but it's because of the games that PlayStation had early on.
Same here.
And
like I'm PlayStation all the way. I refuse to play Xbox because I don't like the controller.
But see, now I'm one where I like both of the systems. I have a lot of friends that play on Xbox, and I think it's a lot of fun to get on there and play with them.
Yeah,
and I know people that are on PlayStation, but I have never played a game with anyone on PlayStation. Mm-hmm. I have played games with friends on Xbox, but I've never played a game with anybody on PlayStation. So I mean, it's that type of thing.
Yeah.
The only time I played Xbox was my first year of college.
I've never been.
That's like I think the original Xbox went on the original Halo, and which was great. Had a blast, but I was still always more like you, Chris. It was more about the games. I always gravitated more towards the games that were available on PlayStation, and a lot of times if it was something that piqued my interest, it was actually on both systems, on Xbox, and then it came out on PlayStation.
Yeah.
Later on.
I'll tell you what, I want PlayStation for one reason, and I will have one by February of next year, a PlayStation 5.
Horizon.
Oh.
Yeah.
That
Horizon. I don't know what the new one's called.
Something West. Far West or something.
Far West, Open West, something like that.
Yeah, it's that is the one that, I mean, Horizon Zero Dawn was one of my favorite games of all time. That actually might be the one that I pick as my favorite game. That was just so much fun.
It's
great story and a
to do it,
beautiful game.
It's on my list. I have it. I just haven't had the opportunity to dedicate that much time to it.
It's a beautiful game. I want to play it.
I can't wait.
Forbidden West.
Yeah, Forbidden West. I'm surprised you didn't say BioShock, actually.
BioShock Infinite is also
it's just a fun game.
I not just fun, but I love the story behind it, like the complexity of time and multiverse in that game. It was just mind blowing to me, and I absolutely loved it. And the acting is just phenomenal between the dynamic between both characters throughout the entire game. I love that too. That's also up there for me. It's hard to pick out one game, but it depends if you're like going like something that you're nostalgic for, that your go-to all the time, like since you were a kid.
You've played 1,000 times.
Older, or like a little bit like in between, or more modern. And if it was a modern game that came out within like the last like 5-10 years, I would say BioShock Infinite.
Yeah.
Because I love that game too.
Yeah, right. I need to replay it.
All right, well, we should wrap things up. One last thing that I want to do, though, is I want to raise a glass and say congratulations, President-elect Joe Biden, President or Vice President-elect Kamala Harris.
Yep.
Good luck. You're getting a shit show handed to you. Hopefully you can do something with it. I wish you all the best of luck on that.
Russ.
Slancha. And then, I think we'll wrap things up. Remember, guys, you can stream us wherever you find podcasts. I'm not going to run through the whole list of things like Russ does. But we're on iTunes, we're on Google Play, we're on Spotify, all those places. If you can't find us, email us, nerds@nerdswithalcoholshow.com, and I'll figure out how to get us on someplace that you listen to.
We're on Facebook. Drinking Nerds with Alcohol Show. Is that it?
What? I was going to finish that.
I'm sorry. I was going to do Russ's part.
I was doing Russ's part.
Never mind. I'll shut up. I'm sorry that I suck at Instagram. I haven't posted anything in months.
No, you're fine. No, you're fine. No, I was just going to take care of all of it.
Okay.
But yeah, so you can follow us on Facebook, Nerds with Alcohol Show, Twitter @DrinkingNerds, Instagram DrinkingNerds. We are on Twitter and of course Twitch. If you're watching us here on Twitch tonight, just search for Nerds with Alcohol Show, and actually Drinking Nerds on Twitch, Nerds with Alcohol Show on YouTube, and you can find us there. So I want to thank you guys for coming out. I really appreciate you filling in for Russ. Between the two of you, you probably have about as much hair as him. So
I probably have more hair than Russ.
Well, that's true. Yeah, I think your hair is probably at least as long as his.
I mean, my hair is to my mid back.
Yeah.
It's just up in a bun right now.
Yeah.
Because
he's a little taller, and I think that's about where his is. So his might be a little longer, but I think yours is thicker.
Yeah.
So I just got mine cut actually yesterday. Still left it long, but got it cut. Yeah. So longer. But yeah, so thanks a lot, guys, for coming out. I really appreciate it. Thanks for hanging out with us. Those of you in the chat, really appreciated that too. It's great as always. But yeah, so I think on that note. Until next time.
Until next time.
Slancha.
Slancha.
That was okay. All right. Have a good week, everybody.
Good night. I watch a show every week. It's drilled into me at this point.
Good night.
We're watching it for 4 years.
Good night, everybody.
Oh, the
Good night.